was presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, get ready to spend the next 2 hours with our three sports-loving ladies. Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dahl.
Hey, hey.
This is Helmets and Heels
On 1010XL, switched on by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
As Taylor said, surprise, we're here. The Hurricane Helene, that is currently a Category 2 hurricane, is barreling towards the Big Bend area of our state, and so certainly people need to take precautions. So no Jaguars programming today. That'll return next week, but certainly our thoughts and prayers for everyone in the direct path of the storm. It looks like, once again, Jacksonville should be spared as far as the worst of the damage for Hurricane Helene. However, certain parts that are right along the Gulf of Mexico, that storm surge and the flooding that comes with it, the potential for tornadoes, and certainly all that goes with hurricanes, the flooding and everything like that, thinking of all those people, that area, I say Big Bend for people who aren't familiar, areas between like Tallahassee and Steinhatchee, that area on the Gulf of Mexico. This is their, I want to say, third hurricane in the last couple years that's literally
went straight
directly, going towards them. So just after you rebuild and then you turn around and another storm comes, they've already been hit with one. I think it was like right around a year ago. So like I said, thoughts and prayers with everybody dealing with all of that. But we are here today, and so why not talk some football, right? That's what we're here to do. Might as well is right. So yesterday on Twitter, I thought Pete Prisco did a fantastic job. If you haven't seen it, he took a picture as he was, I'm sure, rewatching the game, the Monday night game against the Bills. And you can clearly see Trevor Lawrence back in the pocket. He says, blitz getting home, all receivers still with their back to the quarterback. That, to me, we've tried to figure out what's wrong with this offense. That, to me, sums it up. You've got a terrible play design because the receivers at least one receiver needs to be coming back towards the quarterback at that point in time. And you've got a really bad offensive line that can't protect him in general. So especially when there's a blitz coming, you need some help. And there we have it. To me, therein lies the biggest problem with the Jaguars offense.
Right. They're expecting these slow developing plays with an offensive line that can only hold for maybe 3 seconds to be there. That's not feasible. And yes, you can blame the offensive line most certainly for only being able to hold for 3 seconds. But in the National Football League, that's around the average.
Yeah.
And so that's where it falls to whoever constructed the offense. It's plain and simple. It goes back to why, when you're on the 2-yard line or even just in the red zone, are you running 4 verts with an empty backfield and no protection to help your 5 offensive linemen? And look, I know the blame has to be shared by a variety of people because there's a lot of different issues here, but certainly, yes, it's there for all to see. I also think Pete did a really good job of breaking down the reality that this team does have success and has had success for 3 years under Trevor Lawrence and Doug Pederson and that combination over the middle of the field. I actually went through, as part of Duval Rundown this morning, I went through and looked at the plot chart for Trevor Lawrence's throws last year versus this year, and then looking back at 2022. We've talked about it ad nauseum that when Christian Kirk went down, it was as if the middle of the field no longer existed over 10 yards downfield. And while they've gone back to that, you could certainly point to the BTJ 66-yard grab against the Cleveland Browns. You could look at that absolute piss missile that Trevor threw up the seam to Christian Kirk against the Bills on Monday Night Football. They largely don't go to it. And you can even go back to last year with he who must not be named, Calvin Ridley, and his best route, or at the very least his best crossing route, being a slant. And they threw it to him a grand total of 6 times in the course of a season. And once again, just like I think we've talked a lot as the Jaguars get set to play the Texans about the defensive side of the ball, and does Ryan Nielsen have the horses for the course he wants to run? Is he trying to fit a circle peg in a square hole? You could argue you're seeing the same exact thing on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and I think for me it's a lot of the play design, and it's a lot of what seems like miscommunication offensively, because the biggest trait that Trevor Lawrence had the previous 2 years was how quickly he got the ball out and how efficient he was at doing it. His time to throw in 2022 was 2.51 seconds. His time to throw in 2023 was 2.54. He's doing it in 2.75 now. So it's 0.20 seconds higher that
You're
he's
actually
getting this
helping
ball.
him.
Yes, like he honestly is having more time to get the ball out. The problem is these play designs aren't developed in a way to where that time frame works, and the receivers aren't in the right spot, or there's a lot of issues. So I don't think it's just the offensive line, because he's getting more time than he has the last couple years. But I just don't think the play design and the scheme for the offense and all of the miscommunication errors, all these illegal formations and going backwards and stuff like that, that's just clunkiness on the offense, and that's the players and that's the coaching. But to me, when you're looking at that, it's more so that Trevor's given time, the play's just not given time to fully run out.
Yeah, and drops are part of this. That has nothing to do with, that's the execution. That has nothing to do with the play design, obviously. Yeah. But if the play design overall was better, you'd get in a rhythm. And I bet you would see less drops, because it is a little bit more consistent, or it would be a lot more consistent.
Yeah.
If Trevor Lawrence hadn't sailed that pass over BTJ's head, how different would the conversation be coming out of Monday night? Because I do think people are so focused on the one pass that he sailed over his head. But that's one mistake. Quarterbacks make mistakes in games all the time.
And as I said,
I think he still win.
I think he had a few of those. There was a few that went over guys' head. That one was just a big one because it turned into a pick. So you could say the other way, like the 2 or 3 other ones that sailed over heads. If those also turned into picks, how much more worried would we be? You can go both ways with it. There's been 3-4 plays a game this year that Trevor has sailed passes over people's head. It's become a thing. I don't think that's a normal thing for him. It is because there's just these situations where the play design is not working for him, and so he's trying to kind of force certain things. That one BTJ was worse because it was open. Like, you were getting all of the time in the world to throw it. The lanes were open. You had all the opportunity to make it happen. So that's why that one's so bad. But in my opinion, there's still bad throws that normally in previous years he wasn't making, and I think it all comes down to a lot of the miscommunication between coaches, scheme, and players.
But that's also accountability.
Yeah.
If everybody's allowed to make 3-4 mistakes, which we're all human, respect to that, it's going to happen. But if it's being allowed for offensive linemen in their sets during practice, I know Leon was pretty critical of that, of like, if you're going to not be as crouched, or if you're not going to be as firm in your stance and your footwork in practice, that will be tolerated in the games. And if you're a wide receiver, I know Prisco has also gone back to the All-22 and at length lamented about the reality of some receivers perhaps lackadaisical in their route running when they know the ball's not coming their way. If that's being tolerated, if those mistakes are allowed, then in turn, can you really fault the quarterback? Because that's the entire system that it's being allowed. And RJ, if you could cue up the world's smallest violin for me, please. We are getting a lot of response, not only on the MyBookie Digital studio, but Prisco did as well. I never thought I'd say this. I used to make fun of Joe Cowart when he would say, I miss Jim Bob Cooter. But it is true.
Yeah.
Mysteriously, once that, dare I say, babysitter was removed from the Jaguars staff, gone were the drags, gone were the quick throws, those rhythm throws that helped Trevor develop in 2022.
So the Jaguars should fire Doug Pederson, Press Taylor, and hire Jim Bob.
No. The reality, Lauren, let's address the elephant in the room. The reality is, the reason Frank Reich's not here to be the babysitter is because he knows who he's babysitting. And he doesn't want to be here. There's a reason Jim Bob Cooter took that job. A, because it's an offensive coordinator job. And B, because he was tired of being the babysitter. Mm-hmm. That's the reality of it. And
who are you saying that they're babysitting?
Come on, Lauren. I'm talking about Press Taylor. Like, let's just not bury the lead here.
Well, I wasn't sure if you were talking about Trevor, because when you're talking about
we're talking about the elephant in the room. The wedge is Press. Again, just like, why did it take so long to find a running backs coach? Mm-hmm. I wonder, especially when a guy by the name of Deuce Staley that, Doug's pretty familiar with and Press is pretty familiar with. He was out on the street. That's what this is about at the end of the day. And I don't want to put it on one person because it's the whole operation. But at this juncture, because we don't know who's calling plays, right alongside Doug Pederson, who is in charge of constructing this offense?
Yeah, well, and that's been a lot of my point too. And when it comes to Doug Pederson, because if Press is this overwhelmingly issue right now, and it's not new, it didn't just happen these last 3 games. We've been talking about it for a long time, a lot of the issues. And I feel like at the end of last year, when everybody else was like, Press has got to go, it was like a scapegoat to get rid of the defensive coordinator. I mean, all of the defensive staff in general, and then be like, but it's fine because that was the issue towards the end of the year. When no, in reality, it was an offense that never once clicked for an entirety of a game for an entire season. And that does, I think, directly, your offensive coordinator is a massive part of that. But Doug also has to step in sooner.
When the owner says, I have an opinion on who should be calling plays, it seems to me like Shad Khan, with all of the leverage and all of the power in this town, in this franchise, you would think that behind closed doors, Shad would have said to Doug, you're calling plays. And yes, I'm overstepping my bounds as an owner, maybe, but you're calling the plays. Press can be there, but you're calling the plays.
Yeah.
I mean, if
And
I
here
was
we
the owner,
are.
that's what I would have done.
The general manager, I think, also made it pretty clear in his various interviews who he wants to call plays. So, again, you could say all you want, the play calling doesn't matter because the offensive scheme is a collaborative effort. But at the end of the day, and I'm not going to address the Reddit screenshot that I had sent to me like 16 times yesterday of
About Doug and Philly.
why Doug was fired in Philly and the trends they saw throughout the course of the 2020 season and the parallels we're seeing here in Jacksonville, because Press Taylor was not calling plays in Philly. He was the quarterback's coach. And so, again, I don't know. Maybe it's more indicative of Doug than it is the offensive coordinator, but what I can tell you is that if you live in a world where you don't think that he is part of this equation, you are living in a fantasy land.
And at some point, I also think, speaking of leverage and power, Trevor Lawrence has a lot of that too.
Oh, he
with
does.
The new contract.
He's got the money.
So Trevor can go directly to Shad and say, or directly to Doug, I suppose, and say, I want this to happen differently than what has been happening. And again, those meetings could be happening. We're not aware of those, and they're going to say the right things publicly. You're never going to have Trevor Lawrence get in front of a podium and say, it's really all Press's fault.
Yeah, I talked to them, and
I asked for them to change everything, and it's Press's fault. And you're also not going to hear him get up there and say, my offensive line is trash, right? Like, that's not who he is, and that's never going to be who he is. But if you know that your offensive line isn't where they need to be for what makes Trevor comfortable, then you need to help the offensive line, and you need to get the receivers to run routes that are faster developing. It's not that hard.
Well, and that's what, when it comes to Trevor not ever being that person that's going to call anybody out straight up, even the, like, we suck right now as an offense comments, he didn't say I suck. He didn't say I suck right now, like I need to get better. He said we, because he knows it's a full-on offensive from top to bottom on the offense right now is not working. And to me, maybe that's like a little thing that you can read too much into. But a lot of quarterbacks, you'll hear that where they're like, it was me. Like, I've got to get better. I've got to play better. I've got to communicate better. I've got to get the team on the same page. I've got to do this. It was we. Like, we have a problem. We suck.
Yep. And then he followed it up with, if you can't handle the heat, get out of the street. Yeah. We're going to start calling people out if we aren't already, and you need to be held accountable. And so, to the point of, does the quarterback need a babysitter? Is the quarterback perfect? The quarterback knows he's not perfect. But at the very least, if we didn't hit this point home enough this week, I want to say it loud and clear. What the Jaguars are lacking is, number one, an identity. I think we've done a pretty good job of illustrating that, especially over the last 4 days.
Offensively.
I feel like defensively.
I'd say an identity. It's just man coverage.
I mean, I'd say the whole operation is lacking an identity, if you know what I mean. And we've talked about that all summer.
We're playing hockey on the defensive side of the ball.
Right, exactly. And then secondly, they don't have an alpha dog. And the quarterback, who inherently is not an in-your-face rah-rah guy, is, to his credit, having to take on that extroverted personality because he recognizes that there is no other alpha dog. There is no other voice saying, hey, we're holding each other accountable, and recognizes that he needs to have that role.
It's disappointing because the guys that I do think are those vocal guys right now, a guy like Evan Ingram, I think he's a vocal leader for the offense.
I agree.
Foye Oluokun, certainly a vocal leader for the defense. Dewey, special teams, and just in general for the team. Yeah. They're not there right now to help you. So you're going to have to figure it out on your own. The one positive I'll say after this conversation has brought me down is the fact that the Texans are reeling too. Yes, they've won, but they also got embarrassed this past weekend, and they're trying to figure some stuff out. So it's not just here in Jacksonville where they're kind of looking with their hands thrown up in the air going, how did we only score a touchdown this past weekend? So at least you've got that. All right, when we return, Mia got to chat with running back Tank Bigsby yesterday, so we'll let you hear that interview, and we'll keep the Jaguars conversation going. And then in the next segment, Cole Thompson will join us both on the Texans and college football. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
What's the deal with the show?
The 1010XL Podcast Network is now available just about everywhere you find podcasts.
I mean, I think the show's going to be a huge hit.
Search for your favorite 1010XL podcast in your platform of choice.
Who has the best lineup this season? Honda. Cars, trucks, SUVs, vans, hybrids, and electric. This is one of the greatest lineups Honda has ever had. And now is the best time to purchase or lease one. Visit your local Honda dealer now. Remember, only a Honda is a Honda.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
This is Chelsea with Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors. Here's what people are saying about working with us.
Installers were professional, courteous, and efficient.
Great customer service. On time, explained the process, and walked me through the installation. Amazing team.
Our experience with Renewal by Anderson was outstanding from the beginning to end.
Renewal by Anderson, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit rbafla.com.
License number CGC 1527613.
Renewal by Anderson, Custom Windows and Doors.
Weekends were made for sports, and I'll tell you my take on this weekend's best options. Pick it here. Watch for Weekend with Dan on YouTube and Facebook. Weekend with Dan is brought to you by Stone Core. We do outdoors better.
Hey, there's a lab-grown diamond and jewelry sales event going on right now at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Monahan's is known for its natural diamonds and gemstones, but we've had so much demand for lab-grown diamonds that now through the end of September, Monahan Jewelers is having a lab-grown diamond and jewelry sales event. We've brought in a huge selection of lab-grown diamonds and jewelry to meet this incredible demand. Lab-grown diamond sales event now through the end of September at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
When you need a plumber,
call Duck Duck Rooter.
When you need your septic tank pumped out,
call Duck Duck Rooter.
When you need any septic or plumbing issue fixed right the first time,
call Duck Duck Rooter.
Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing and Septic Services. DuckDuckRooter.com.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists returns with their free bumps and bruises evaluation clinics. Now with 4 locations, these free injury assessments are open to all schools and athletic programs. Saturday mornings from 9 to 10 through October 26th at Cortex Sports Performance in Ponte Vedra, Preferred PT in Fleming Island, and also at Brooks Rehab on Centurion Parkway and Brooks Rehab at World Golf Village.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
The average cost associated with childhood cancer is a startling $833,000. This is Tom Coughlin, and September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Help the J Fund raise awareness to help our neighbors and community members tackling this devastating disease. Visit tcjfund.org/September for more information.
A lot of companies will tell you they're the best. At Custom Tree Surgeons, they show you every time. Custom Tree Surgeons has built an all-pro team. Every tree service professional has years of experience, continually trained and certified. They know what, when, and how to handle any job. It gets done efficiently and quickly by a team of experts. So for tree trimming, removal, stump grinding, and emergency services, forget any name other than Custom Tree Surgeons. There is no job they can't do better. Go to website CustomTreeSurgeons.com. That's CustomTreeSurgeons.com, and let them show you how the job is supposed to get done.
Now, the Performance Painting High Performance Play of the Game. Performance Painting. Prepare, protect, preserve.
With their star tight end Evan Ingram not able to go in Buffalo, Jacksonville looked for a player to step up in his absence, and Britton Strange would answer that call. In the third quarter, Trevor Lawrence would find the former second-round pick for a 6-yard touchdown, giving Jacks their first TD score of the game. The Strange score is your Performance Painting Play of the Game.
Does the building you go to work in every day need a little love and attention? Jason Parker here with Performance Painting. Great companies take great care of the buildings their staff and customers walk into every day. If the building you're in doesn't match the vision you have for your company, we can help. Go to performance-painting.com. Our highly trained team makes the difference. Quality coatings applied with pride.
Performance Painting.
I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, Director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 5-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year, and right now graduate making over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition or no student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, your only cost are the books and the course fees. About $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org and you can apply there.
Apply by November 7th.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
It was right. Mia O'Brien, Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks with you. By the way, y'all know this is Lainey Wilson. I think that's what I'm going to be for Halloween this year.
Oh, that's cute. Interesting.
She
I like
has
that.
such fun outfits that I think that'll be fun.
She was also in Yellowstone.
She
so
was.
There's some, I mean, not that it was her, it was the character, she played the character, but similar vibes. You can play off that.
Yeah, I think that'll be a fun thing. And then, of course, I have to bring some watermelon moonshine to whatever party I attend.
I heard yesterday I was watching... Well, I'll see clips because Kelly Clarkson has her talk show now, and she was talking to Miranda Lambert.
I saw that.
And they were talking about who one of their favorite artists, and they both said Lainey Wilson was one of their favorite. I honestly haven't listened to her a ton. I know a few of her songs, but all the country people seem to love her. So
she's great, and it's funny too in the sports world. She's dating Duck Hodges, who used to be the quarterback for the NFL team Steelers. Yes, she started with songs that are very, I would say, very country, and as far as not songs about love and things like that. And now she's kind of shifted more to love songs.
She figured out the country fans love the love songs.
You got that right.
I think I also, speaking of, she's dating who? Is it
Duck Hodges?
Okay. The devil. Yeah. So I saw a stat the other day because it was do you know who the last quarterback for the Steelers who started 3-0 was? And it was him.
Wow. That team is
I did see that.
It's literally magical.
No offense to our friend Mike Dempsey, who's driving home right now and probably listening. The Justin Fields, with all due respect, Taylor, pick for the Breakfast Bowl is a bold strategy at the quarterback position because
who picked him?
Mike did.
Oh.
I mean, look, he's 3-0.
Yeah.
So it's not to say he may not get a win, but I don't want to compare it to the Iowa offense of Saturday where Cade McNamara threw for 66 yards and they ran for 200 plus. Caleb Johnson alone ran for 231 plus. But that's what Arthur Smith is going for right now.
Yeah, and that's the one thing with Justin, though, are his legs. He may only get you 150 yards, but he'll get you also 150 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns, and that's where you get the fantasy points, especially against the Colts, who have the worst run defense in the league.
There you go. Okay, so smart move. I stand corrected.
All right, Mia, yesterday you caught up with Tank Bigsby. I know I want to see more of him as the Jaguars move through this schedule. And look, I think he's very explosive. I think he's a smart runner. I think he's got good vision as well. And I'm not ever going to knock Travis Etienne because I think he's a good back too. But there's something every time Bigsby gets the ball, it seems like he's got that forward momentum.
I will say it again because I said it for the boys on BetQL earlier this week. And apparently their listening audience appreciated it, even though here in Jacksonville it's hearsay. Travis Etienne may be the best football player on this roster, but Tank Bigsby right now is the better running back. And yes, we live in an age in 2024 where you don't have bulldozer running backs unless they're Derrick Henry, and I don't think Tank Bigsby's a bulldozer. But in terms of this zone scheme, who is finding those holes in between the tackles and hitting them precisely, and even then had that really nice jump cut on the 4th down conversion, it's Tank Bigsby.
Yeah.
And it was an interesting locker room yesterday. Obviously, when you're 0-3, you don't really want to talk to reporters across the board. So very appreciative of Tank and all the players who took time to speak yesterday. But I do think he's a guy who has found himself and his identity both in and outside of football, if that makes any sense. And I think this interview will share light on that he understands, I would like to see the ball, to have more carries. I would like to be more involved. I understand I'm a little banged up. I also understand the growth I had from last year to this year. And whatever reps I get, I'm going to make the most of them. So here he is. Pleased to be joined with Jaguars running back Tank Bigsby. Tank, how's it going? And in terms of moving forward, what kind of is the sentiment in the locker room as we look towards Houston?
Just take this week how it's supposed to be. It's the division game, and go out and handle our thing, get our first win. Stick together, don't depart, and do what we got to do as a team.
How would you evaluate your performance through 3 weeks through the season?
I've been a little banged up, just ever since the Cleveland game. But, I always can be better. And just do whatever I have to do. Keep fighting for the guys next to me. And that's all I got to do.
Obviously, the results haven't been there in terms of wins and losses. But I know one bright spot has to be the fact that the run game is averaging over 5 yards a carry. For you guys to have taken it down to the studs, what have you seen from it? And how, I guess, rewarding is it to see those numbers?
It's good to see. We gotta keep it up. It's early in the year. We gotta continue to press and be who we are day in and day out. We're going on week 4, so just continue to be who we are in the run game, and everything else will take care of itself. We gotta just keep being us, and I feel like everything gonna be all right.
In a difficult spot like this, what do you fall back on? Previous college experience, high school experience, with the record the way it is?
Honestly, I go home and pray real hard. And I just ask God to just use me in a way to bring this team energy every day. And I thank him for that, what he's been doing to give me the joy. But, just going back on times when times get hard, your true character come out as a player and as a person. So we'll see who we really are and what we're really about when adversity hits.
What or who has been maybe something in this locker room during this tough time that you've said, hey, that's somebody who has had a message that really resonated?
Everybody. I feel like everybody have been having a message, but, everybody have been communicating with each other, telling each other to keep their heads up and just stay focused. Everybody been having good energy, so it's just about what we do with the energy and how we, do our works and step forward.
Houston's defense last year to this year, same, different? What on the scouting report maybe jumped out to you?
They're great defense. They got some good edge rushers. Good linebackers. Got good nickel. They got good guys flying around. But to me, football all about who can outscreen they got the most, and if you can do your job better, and just go out and compete and have fun, honestly. But they have a great team over there, and looking forward to go out and compete with those guys.
A little something extra going against Alabama and an LSU defensive end.
Ain't nothing against them. College is what it is. But we're a good guy. Played against them a couple years from now, so we looking forward to it.
Tank, thanks so much.
Thank you.
And I thought the part about the reflecting on the 0-3 start, do you call upon any previous experience? Because I asked Doug Pederson that yesterday morning, and he referenced the Chiefs when he was the OC, starting 1-5. Cam Robinson, if you want to see that interview, it's up on our 1010XL Jaguars channel. He joked with me. He's like, well, in college, I didn't have to worry about that playing at Alabama. But in high school, yes. But the fact that Tank, just honestly said, no, I go home and I pray, and I'm like, we're trying. I'm trying to do all I possibly can, and I just have to hope that the process will ultimately win out. And, I remarked to DT, who, of course, is kind of, I always say he's the spiritual leader of that locker room, and not just because, he obviously is very, very into his faith and his religion, and he's brought so many people in that locker room along the way. But, I said to him, I was like, that really spoke to me, that Tank Bigsby said, at this juncture, when you're doing all you can, that's all you can really ask for. Mm-hmm. You can't say, well, we were 2-7, or I guess he wasn't on the team in 2022, but we were 3-7 and we turned that around. It's quite simply, I just got to do all I can possibly do and hope that the opportunity opens its door for me.
Yeah, Auburn, when he was there, struggled, certainly, Bigsby. So he unlike Cam Robinson, understands. He's been through difficulty. I mean, he would have been there with Brian Harsin, and then Harsin was fired and things like that, too. I love that prayer of, just God, use me. What can I do to contribute? And at this point in time, they need people to look forward, not necessarily focus on all the negative that's happened to this point, because we can say it a million times, like, they're not dead in the water. Mm-hmm. It feels like it because of how they played Monday night, but they certainly can win on Sunday. They can go across the pond and win some more. Like, there are games certainly left that they can win. Yeah. it just doesn't feel, certainly in the fan base, that it's going in that direction.
Yeah, and I think, and that's what most of it kind of surrounds, is just the start and how bad the start was. That doesn't mean that things can't kind of just flip, honestly. And we've seen other teams happen, not saying that all of a sudden they'll go and win 15 games straight and make it into the postseason, or 14, whatever. And so I feel like you can still take positives, though, and all they can do as players is look at the week to week, and they talk about that all the time. Like you turn that page on a Wednesday and you start focusing on that next game. They're not looking at their next 5-6 games. We're analyzing all of that. We're saying, okay, if they would beat the Texans, then they're in London, and this team is beatable, and then they have this, and that quarterback's not healthy right now. They're not doing that. They're just saying, we win this weekend and make it into some sort of positive outlook, especially if you beat a divisional opponent who's had the hype that they have this offseason. That can do a lot of things for a team.
And you put on the film for the Texans against the Vikings, and you see the Vikings got after that Texans offensive line. So can this pass rush come alive and be able to get C.J. Stroud in some sort of danger time in and time out, pressure him to the point where he doesn't find Nico Collins so easily, right? That's certainly what Josh Allen did. He found all of his receivers easily.
We kind of went through this exercise a little bit, but let's dive fully into it as we do turn the page and we look towards the Texans. Here are the starters on that Vikings defense that absolutely shut down Houston's high-powered offense this past weekend. Jerry Tillery, Harrison Phillips, Jonathan Bullard, Jonathan Grenard, Yvonne Pace, Blake Cashman, revenge game, Andrew Van Ginkel, Stephon Gilmore, Harrison Smith, Cameron Bynum, Shaq Griffin, old friend alert, Byron Murphy Jr. Do any of those players who I just rattled off scream to you, well, that's Myles Garrett. That's one of the best players at his position ever, let alone in the game right now?
Not Myles Garrett, but certainly we've seen Grenard have double-digit sacks with the
Texans.
Texans.
Good, but
Tillery's been pretty good, too.
Are they top 4 players at their position?
You don't have to have that.
Correct.
If you play smart football, if you understand how to get after a guy like Laramie Tunsil, it's all in your technique. It's all in how you approach the game, and that is something we have yet to really see from this Jaguars defense, is them be able to, and they have some studs on there.
Yeah.
But
I'd argue if only on paper, which the game is not played on paper, I'd say they have even more high-profile names in their starting lineup who, whether currently or previously, have been at the top 4, top 5 in the National Football League at their position. And so that's where, once again, execution and an opportunity is all that stands between you and winning a football game if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Well, and bringing it back to our conversation in the first segment of how the coaching has trickled down. Brian Flores and what he's been able to do in 2 seasons in Minnesota defensively he's completely confusing offenses, and I've talked a lot about their blitz heavy, and he goes after the quarterback. That's what he does. That's his thing, and he knows that if he rattles these quarterbacks, then he's able to shut down. He kind of sometimes takes the big yardage, and he is like, okay, I'm fine. I'll take that 150-yard play because we know we're going to attack your quarterback the entire time. And last year and this year, the Vikings defense was really, really good. And they had Danielle Hunter playing at one of the highest levels in the NFL last season at his position. Then they send him off and take Jonathan Grenard. And then now they have Jonathan Grenard, who, by the way, has had 12.5 sack seasons. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy. So we'll see if he makes it through a season. And honestly, Danielle Hunter isn't playing at the high level that he was in Minnesota last year. So to me, it does trickle a lot back to Brian Flores and how that defensive coaching staff is able to make the best out of their players. They also don't ask one player to be everything. They don't ask 1 or 2 guys to go get all of the sacks or 1 or 2 guys to create all of the pressure. They expect all of those guys to create pressures, all of those guys to stop the run. And so it takes a lot off of some of these guys who on previous teams probably had to do a lot more.
We will keep the Jaguars-Texans conversation going as we chat with Cole Thompson, managing editor of the Texans Wire. When we return, you're listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
When Jaguars news breaks, you'll hear about it first on 1010XL.
I just came from the locker room, and one of the players told me this.
Home of the Jaguars, 1010XL.
Are you an experienced plumber or welder with MedGas
class certification and you're tired of being undervalued? It's time to make the move to Local 234 plumbers, pipe fitters, and HVAC technicians. With the best pay in the business, you'll earn $36.50 an hour. With benefits, that's almost $50. It's not just a job, it's a career that values you. Join the team that's got your back. Local 234, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit UA234.com to send your resume today.
Equal opportunity employer.
Now, the Randy Marion Cadillac Drive of the Game. Randy Marion Cadillac of Jacksonville. Drive to the game in luxury with Randy Marion Cadillac of Jacksonville.
Teal and Black looked to make some noise early in the second half and definitely made their presence felt coming out of the halftime break. Thanks to an 8-play, 70-yard drive led by Trevor Lawrence, Jacksonville would get their first touchdown of the contest on Monday night. The 3-minute, 45-second drive is your Randy Marion Cadillac Drive of the Game.
Hey, John, my dad, Randy Marion's gone absolute Cadillac crazy. You won't believe our Escalade lineup.
Well, how crazy we talking, Jennifer?
Buckle up, folks. We've got over 35 Cadillac Escalades.
35 Escalades? That's luxury overload.
I'm talking fully loaded models, cutting-edge tech, and that signature Cadillac style.
And the deals are even more luxurious. $4,000 Escalade loyalty rebate.
Plus 5% off MSRP on retired courtesy vehicles. Head to Randy Marion Cadillac on Southside Boulevard, Jacksonville.
Plus tax tag title $899 MNP and resistol.
Tell them Jennifer sent ya.
When it comes to towing products, your safety on the road is the priority at Cannons of Jacksonville. Whether it's a heavy-duty tow hitch, trailer frame, wiring, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons has decades of experience to ensure your towing setup is installed with precision and reliability. Visit cannonsofjacks.com to explore a range of products and schedule your installation. Cannons of Jacksonville, your trusted partner for a smoother tow.
Liquid Sunshine, a car wash committed to superior customer service. Like including bug prep done for you every time. Experience the difference starting at just $10 at Liquid Sunshine Car Wash on Southside near Hogan Road.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On September 26, 1996, San Francisco Giants' Barry Bonds becomes the second MLB player to hit 40 home runs and steal 40 bases in a season.
When all you have is a hammer, everything is a nail. I'm Dr. George Bari, and like me, I know you have been bombarded with PRP and stem cell treatments from companies that promise the world and charge prices to match. Or the surgeon that convinced you the only way to treat your injuries through surgery. At Bari Orthopedics, we offer the best PRP treatment on the market with prices that won't cost you an arm and a leg. We also have the expertise to treat your injury surgically if that is what it entails. We can discuss all surgical and non-surgical options with you and make sure you get the best treatment available. Come see me, Dr. George Bari at Bari Orthopedics.
Discover the difference that local expertise makes at First Coast Lighting and Fans. Visit their showroom at the Avenues and browse high-quality products to match your desire for elegance, quality, and uniqueness at First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Mia here. If you haven't bet with MyBookie yet, they are still running that double deposit bonus. Just sign up with promo code 1010XL and you will have a massive winning week. Start with college and NFL games on Thursday night. Get signed up now for Virginia Tech traveling to face those Miami Hurricanes. The Canes are 17-point favorites with a total at 55.5 at MyBookie. With the way Miami's been scoring, covering that spread should be no problem. And how about a Thursday night football divisional matchup? The Cowboys travel to face the Giants in New York. The Giants are 4.5-point home underdogs coming off of a win. If you think they can keep this one a close one, be sure to take the home dogs. For a limited time, MyBookie again is bringing back that double deposit bonus. Use promo code 1010XL to claim a bonus that doubles your money on your very first deposit. That's promo code 1010XL to double your money. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, and make your season a winning season with MyBookie.
DivorceMenOnly.com. This is Kenny Lay of Kenny Lay & Associates. Our firm specializes in representing men in family law. That's all we do. That's our only focus. We can help with all of your family law needs, such as divorce, custody, alimony, and child support. For over a decade, we have helped thousands of men with these types of issues. We even have an appellate division ready to challenge a judge's ruling. If you need a family law attorney, go to DivorceMenOnly.com. DivorceMenOnly.com. Offices, Jacksonville.
Googan Nation, it's Dreamfinders Danny Hicken here to tell you this is no dream. The folks at Dreamfinders Homes right now have an unbeatable interest rate for you. You may not think you can afford a Dreamfinders home. Well, think again. Take advantage of a 2.99% year one rate. I said it, 2.99%. 15 Jacksonville communities to choose from. Find that dream house and take advantage of an unbeatable rate. Move now, literally. Dreamfinders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The Sunshine State says it all in the nickname. That summer sun in Florida can take its toll on an air conditioning unit and send your electric bill through the roof. Florida Home AC can help you handle the heat with a brand new AC unit with low monthly payments and over $3,000 in federal tax credits on select systems. So this summer, don't sweat it out. Cool off with Florida Home AC, the official AC company of the Jaguars. Call them today, 777-4300, and check out their tremendous savings on a brand new AC system.
This is Dr. Turner Vossler, Assistant Team Physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jaguars, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
The Jaguars are one of 3 NFL teams that have yet to win a game this season. They join the Cincinnati Bengals and division rival Tennessee Titans at 0-3. According to the Associated Press, only 6 teams have made the playoffs after starting 0-3 since 1979. Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence on the team's urgency at 0-3.
The sense of urgency has to be there, this position we're in, but we have to stay level-headed through all this and keep trusting the work that we're putting in, and it's going to pay off for us. And unfortunately, it hasn't yet, and we haven't had much success the first 3 weeks, but I really, really do believe that it will.
Trevor Lawrence on Wednesday. I'm Andrew Gibson with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line. Hello. We can wiggle it.
It has come to my attention that the last time this friend of the program joined us on the Garber Auto Mall hotline, Lauren Brooks was on vacation. And so she has never had the distinct privilege to speak with the one and only Mr. Cole Thompson on X. That is his real name. He is the managing editor at the Texans Wire. Also covers the SEC for SEC Unfiltered. As his bio suggests, Taylor and my good friend Cole, a professional blabber, host, journalist, and a friend of Helmets and Heels. Is that introduction good enough? Does that get the people going, Cole?
We have a bone to pick, Mia. We have a giant bone to pick already. It already has to come out before we even get into real conversation. Did I just hear you say Miami should coast to a win against Virginia Tech? Mia, have you not been paying attention to Friday night football? Because so far, the underdogs have dominated the competition. Syracuse last week fumbled the bag. Nebraska last week fumbled the bag because they had fake Patrick Mahomes and not the real one leading the charge. We saw UNLV hit the jackpot against Kansas, and we're that certain that Miami's going to do it against Virginia Tech. My Hokies that I had in the college football play. Shame, Mia O'Brien. Shame on not believing in the Friday voodoo that is college football. I am hammering the 18.5 points in favor of Virginia Tech.
UNLV won the game, but at what cost, Cole? Quite the string of controversies that followed thereafter. And by the way, in my Mia's MyBookie midday picks that I made yesterday, and you can find those on our 1010XL social channels, I did take Virginia Tech to cover because at the time, MyBookie Cole had the line at 19.5, which is just ungodly. And even former All-American at Miami, Leon Searcy, came in here in the studio, and he was like, yeah, that's a big number. That's a big number. We're going to talk college football with you, Cole, and hopefully your opening response has entertained Lauren enough to realize that we better all buckle up because this is about to be a fun next 10 to 12 minutes. Let's begin with the game on Sunday. You and I will both be in attendance when the Houston Texans host the Jaguars. Perception of the Jaguars in H-Town as they roll into town at 0-3.
LOL. I really wish there was anything worse than that, but that is probably the nicest PC way that the FCAA doesn't get involved. The FCC doesn't come shut down your radio station. They believe that this is going to be an easy win. And I caution Texans fans, and I have all offseason, guys, you are now playing a first-place schedule. If you want to learn anything about that first-place schedule, go back and look at the 2023 Jacksonville Jaguars as a representation about how things can go south immediately. But they have just been laughing at the fact that Trevor Lawrence has a 5-year, $275 million contract. They believe that the offense has been absolutely abysmal. On top of that, there also is just a feeling of when you talk about how Press Taylor was calling the plays, but Doug Pederson kept this a giant secret, even though there's probably the worst kept secret in the NFL who was going to be the guy. But internally, the Texans are not taking this lightly at all. You hear DeMeco Ryans talk about it. He says that this is a team that their record does not define who they are as a program, especially because of the way they played against the Miami Dolphins, especially against the way that they played prior to going in and facing off against Buffalo last weekend. They will give you their best punch. Their defense is fundamentally sound. Last season, they had a ton of troubles to be able to score against Ryan Nielsen's defense when he was with the Atlanta Falcons. So they know that there is a giant test ahead. And on top of that, C.J. Stroud even called out both Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker, saying that they use finesse and the ability to already study an offensive line to bode well in their favor, and he has to prepare for both of them, especially because last week they kind of undersold what Minnesota's defensive line was for Jonathan Grenard, and it ended up leading to 10 quarterback hits and 4 sacks and 2 turnovers. And sometimes great field position is all you need to go ahead and gain momentum.
Well, let's talk about some of the major pieces showing up on the injury report for the Texans right now. Joe Mixon got hurt during that Bears game, but has been banged up since then. Foley Fatukasi is on that injury list. They did not practice. But the big one, I think, is Tank Dell. That was added. That's kind of one of the ones that is popping out to us right now. But tell us a little bit about each of these injuries and how you think it could affect if they can't go this weekend.
Yeah, so Joe Mixon, the way that it feels right now is that he is trending downward. They are probably trying to save his body. And it makes sense because right now the whole situation about the Texans was adding in a running back, somebody that they believe can be that difference maker, take pressure off of C.J. Stroud, and having to play hero ball. They need him for a 15-game period rather than just have him for 3 games and then call it a rest of the season. So they're probably going to rest him. Dameon Pierce is trending upward. He was limited at practice this week. They do believe that he is trending in the right direction with a hamstring injury. Missed the last 2 games because of it. Having him and Cam Akers feels like probably the best 1-2 combination. Dare Ogunbowale as scat back, pass catcher out of the backfield probably adds a little bit more value to where they can do the production to make up for what Mixon provides. Foley Fatukasi, I believe, is going to be active this game. Don't quote me on that entirely, but it does feel like it was more of a precautionary tale, not to rush him back in. Don't do damage during practice. They're making sure that this is a guy who can be an effective pass rusher up the middle. But Tim Settle last week did a really nice job filling in for Foley at times. 2 sacks on the day, 6 total pressures against Sam Darnold. It could be a reason why Houston maybe decides to rest him. But Taylor, you brought it up. Tank Dell is the one that we have to talk about. And we have to talk about him because of last year, he was a Jags killer. I mean, 10 catches for 195 yards, 2 touchdowns, an average of 19.8 yards per play. He looks like how Brian Thomas has looked the first 2 weeks working with Trevor Lawrence. Just absolute vertical threat that will take the tops off of defenses. If you miss him at the line of scrimmage, best of luck guarding him. And there really hasn't been that much success at wide receiver outside of Nico Collins. Stephon Diggs had his best game last week with 9 catches for 90 yards. But you haven't seen anything from Robert Woods. John Mechie has been a healthy scratch all 3 games to begin the year. Xavier Hutchinson is good for 1 target and 1 catch for probably around 8 to 9 yards. And if you don't have a stable run game, you have to trust what the passing attack can be. And if the passing attack right now is so predicated on taking away Nico Collins, you're going to need a Tank Dell in this roster because of just the speed element to where defenses have to play both sides of the field. Losing a Tank Dell is bigger than just losing his production. It's losing the ability to keep him on the field and defenses having to not play double teams against your top-tier target. And so right now, I don't think that it is trending in the right direction. He did not practice today. I highly suspect right now he to be a game-time decision, though anything could change in the next 72 hours.
All right, Cole, let's switch gears. This is Lauren, by the way. So nice of you to join us.
Very nice to meet you, Lauren. How are we doing?
So far, so bad as far as college football and the NFL. I graduated from Florida, and so you know how that's going. But let's get it to Georgia, Alabama. Georgia is a 2-point favorite. We talked about this game yesterday, and as far as Alabama's offense is super explosive, that's certainly their strength. Georgia's defense is, as always, elite. That's their strength, so it's strength on strength. How do you think that game goes in Tuscaloosa?
Here's going to be the biggest storyline, ladies. Was it Kirby against Nick Saban, or was it Kirby against Alabama? Because now the passing of the torch has finally come. Saban has gone to retirement. He's killing it on College game day. He's making all of us look bad at our jobs because of how good he is at his. And the question has been, well, what happens with Kirby now? Because you talk to people down in Georgia, they were understanding and very content knowing that Nick Saban is a one-in-anomaly type of coach. We're going to have to play second fiddle to him. But Kirby's only in his early 50s. We're going to be able to finally surpass him. It'll be okay. But now you watch the game 2 weeks ago against Kentucky and a 13-12 finish, and if Mark Stoops decides to go for it on 4th and 8, maybe we're talking about a team that is now facing the pressure to have to get a win to stay in the hunt for a college football playoff berth. And Kirby does not have the same roster. I know that a lot of people believe that Kirby is about ready to become the czar of college football, and he truly, I think, can. But the Kentucky roster right now is nowhere near – I mean, the Georgia roster right now is nowhere near what we have seen in years past, especially from the depth perspective. You don't have Tate Ratledge for this game. You lost London Humphreys for this game. You don't know what version of Michael Williams you're going to see. And really the depth behind those guys really has hurt the overall aura of what Georgia football is. The other thing that's really important is that Carson Beck is kind of facing that I'm him moment, because last season so many people said Georgia got lucky because of their schedule. Georgia got lucky because they had a cupcake schedule. And Carson Beck looked the part of a franchise caliber quarterback and the top name in the SEC. But can he deliver in an environment like Titletown on a Saturday night on the biggest stage where all the lights are fixated directly on you? Because the other thing that's really important is you look at the games early on in the season where Georgia struggled, they always had a game where they were able to reciprocate against a lesser tier opponent. Alabama is on their level. But at the same time, I think this is the really important part, and Lauren brought this up, Alabama's an explosive offense. 85% of their touchdowns come on explosive plays of 20-plus yards down the field. So you need to be able to milk that clock. What you want to see if you are Alabama is Carson Beck sitting on that sideline, holding his helmet, wondering, when is it my time to go in? And the pressure is starting to pick up because the clock is ticking down, and Alabama is just milking it time and time again. We are either going to see the first stages of a new era of the SEC where Georgia comes out on top, or we're going to see Alabama still be Alabama. But this is the game that made us all fall in love with college football. This is the type of matchup to where you will remember where you were, how things occurred, exactly what happened when you're sitting in your chair at 80 years old because of what this game means to the sport. I think Alabama wins 31-28. I think that Alabama still is the standard of college football. And simply because the aura of Nick Saban is gone does not mean that the expectations of that script day don't carry a lot of weight, especially at home.
Kalen DeBoer did it with Michael Penix Jr. Can he do it with Jalen Milroe? Cole Thompson of SEC Unfiltered, our guest on the Garber Automall Hotline. No, our time with you is dwindling down. Let's say it's dwindling down, my friend. Lauren doesn't want to talk Florida Gators. I want to talk Florida Gators.
I want to talk Florida Gators.
Number one, the Florida Gators are winners this week, Cole. They can't lose the bye week. So that's a positive. And secondly, you joined us over the summer, and you referred to Graham Mertz as mashed potatoes. I then went to SEC Media Days, boots on the ground, not only for us on 1010XL, but for you as well, and discovered he actually could be avocado toast because that's his favorite breakfast delicacy. You tell me, Cole, this two-quarterback system with Mr. Mashed Potatoes and DJ Lagway, is it sustainable? Can it save Billy Napier?
Okay, but when the fan base is booing you at halftime because you're on a don't freaking drive ad, I think the writing is on the wall about where you sit in terms of coming back next year. But ultimately, again, this is a good step in the right direction because you have two games that truly will, I think, define the era of Billy Napier. The UCF game against a very rising UCF team with Gus Malzahn, who right now is very much missed on the plains of Auburn after last week's performance against Arkansas, and then Tennessee, where you're sitting at 8-2 over the last 10 matchups. I feel like that Graham Mertz, mashed potatoes, and the reason why we call him mashed potatoes, Lauren, is because of he is the perfect side dish and you're okay with it. You don't complain about a mashed potatoes as your side dish. Everyone gets along with mashed potatoes. Everyone would be okay with Graham Mertz as their starting quarterback. I think that he has to stay the starter, but you have to have plays implemented for DJ Lagway. This is very iridescent to what we saw with Chris Leak and Tim Tebow. He's too good of a talent to not have on the field, and I think you saw that last week when he played against Mississippi State on the road. 100% completion rating, did have the fumble, but it was recovered in the end zone. His ability to utilize his legs, his physicality, it's second to none. And he also is the most important recruit to come on through that building since Tim Tebow himself. So you have to get him on the field. But the ultimate point is right now, how does this offense look now back in the swamp? Billy said last week before traveling to Starkville, it's good to get away from Gainesville. And I think that there's multiple truths behind that. Number one, it's simply just showing what a road environment is like for this team. But number two, it's to kind of get the angry crowd with the pitchforks and lighted torches off his back for a week because he realizes if I lose to Mississippi State, well, Jerron Zook 2.0, and I might as well just fire up the resume. He's got to be able to, I think, sustain the success going into the bye week. More importantly, he has to be able to sustain this manageability with this roster, where they reside, how they act, how they compromise each other. It's going to be important. I don't see a scenario where you fire him after UCF if he loses. But at that point, when you lose to a Big 12 team that utilized the transfer portal, brought in a ton of names like KJ Jefferson, RJ Harvey, Petty Boone, a couple of other receivers, you got to be able to, I think, understand things are not trending in the right direction. And for Florida fans, I love you. I really do. You have been very kind to me over the last few years. But you're not getting Lane Kiffin. And if we have time to talk about that, I'll explain why you're not getting Lane Kiffin. But you got to go ahead and start turning the page to another coach. Or you have to be okay with Lane Kiffin not being in the college football playoff, which is going to be an underwhelming hire at that point.
Who's that next coach that they turn their head to?
I'm going to be completely honest. I want you to swing big. I think you got to go after like a Marcus Freeman. If Marcus Freeman struggles now, if Marcus Freeman struggles this year at Notre Dame, they may have the personnel to be able to go ahead and get him down there. The NIL collective, he'd be able to recruit. He's done wonders for what he's been at Notre Dame for what is at the resources. A dark horse name that I'm telling you, I'm not going to throw out there just yet. If they lose in the first round of the playoffs, Ryan Day hitting the reset button is especially, I think, on the table. SEC material, knows how to understand quarterbacks, has that backing. But my favorite pick, and my favorite pick from the get-go, has and always will be, I need to see Mike Gundy in the SEC. I need to see Mike Gundy down in Florida. I need to see Mike Gundy wearing that shade of orange. He already looks fantastic in the mullet man, the Florida man. It all works together, and I think that he's realized, very similar to Jonathan Smith last year at Oregon State, there's a certain level that we have at this program at Oklahoma State to go to the college football playoff. If I'm at Florida, they're never leaving me out. And I turn 3 stars into first-round picks, send me down to the swamp. I belong in that Florida culture. I'm already going to retire there anyways. Let's start off the party a little 2 years sooner.
Oh, less than 30 seconds. Why is Florida not getting Lane Kiffin?
Lane Kiffin is either going to be in the college football playoff to where the actual schedule does not bode in their favor because of the early transfer portal window opens up on December 9th. The recruiting early signing period is on December 4th, and the college football playoff starts on December 21st. So either you're okay with Lane Kiffin having a 4-8, 5-7 squad in year one, or you have to wait until he gets into the building. And at that point, if he does miss the college football playoff, what is considered a cupcake schedule, most people would be underwhelmed by the hire. You can't have college football playoff Lane Kiffin and at Florida, but you can't have Lane Kiffin, who is going to be an underwhelming hire with the schedule at Florida, and fans are going to be pissed off either way.
All right, there you have it.
I think he hit 30 seconds, too. I'm very impressed.
I'm always on point. You know me. You got me. Come on. I'm like Terrence. I'm always there, ready to go.
All right, we appreciate it, Cole.
Anytime, guys. Thanks for having me.
Legend.
So
Friend of the program.
I guess DJ Lagway then is the bone-in ribeye if Graham
Oh,
Mertz is
undoubtedly.
the mashed potatoes?
Undoubtedly. He is the bone-in ribeye, or he is the Wagyu steak. Like, there's no question. We'll get Cole's answer to that off the air because I think it is critical for everyone.
What is his food relation?
Not just Gator fans.
When he said it the first time, I was like, I love mashed potatoes. It's like one of my favorite foods.
It's the best part of the meal.
If they're done right. There has to be a lot of butter and a lot of salt.
I don't even I love potato. Like, give me any sort of potato and I'm happy.
All right, I want to have us react to a couple of the things that Cole said on the other side. Also, we will make our our picks. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on Thursday on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
If you like the heat, we are always bringing it. 1010XL. Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
At Honda, we appreciate all the comparisons to other vehicles. And no matter how many times they compare their vehicles to a Honda, only a Honda is a Honda. Remember, value, quality, safety. There is no substitute. Visit your local Honda dealer now and experience the difference.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
Staying active no matter what your age is key to living life at its fullest. And Rebound Rehabilitation wants you to know they can get you back up to speed and back in the game pain-free. Rebound Rehabilitation with 8 locations across the First Coast. Top-of-the-line therapists ready to assist you. From neck and back pain, knee or foot pain, they can help. Excellent patient care combined with the highest quality in rehabilitation services. Look for a Rebound Rehab location near you and get back in the game. Log on. ReboundRehab.com.
Look out, world, we're getting strong. The future's here and we belong. She can STEM, she can do more. Like build a rocket and watch it soar. Or clean the oceans and make the world a better place. Oh, she can STEM, so can you. Find a cure, invent something new. There's no challenge in the world that she can't face. She can STEM.
Learn more at She Can STEM. A message brought to you by the Ad Council.
When a plumbing or septic emergency happens, you want to have your ducks in a row with a company you can trust. Duck Rooter Plumbing and Septic Services is the #1 company on the First Coast. Check out our reviews online. DuckDuckRooter.com.
Hey gang, Prosser here, telling you once again about Chad and Sandy Newman. Mortgage rates are down, creating more active buyers and sellers. If you've been waiting, now is a great time to sell your home before more homes flood the market, driving down prices. So maybe you want guaranteed no-hassle home sale, but don't want to give up hard-earned equity to do it. They can handle that. You see, Chad and Sandy can take every problem you think you have and replace it with a promise. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. The success stories are rolling in. Mike and Lisa in McCormick. We inherited a family home that came with equity, but also a mortgage. We needed to sell fast to avoid extra expenses on a second mortgage. We heard about Chad and Sandy on the radio and called. Everything they say on the radio is true. The home sold in 3 days for full asking price. Call Chad and Sandy today, 904-414-6200, or go to chadandsandy.com. That's ChadAndSandy.com.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Catlin Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Catlin is the name you can count on. This is Keith Catlin, and we know trucks and vans too, from Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, rolling lot bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality products and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Catlin.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
For 105 years, you can count on Catlin.
A lot of companies will tell you they're the best. At Custom Tree Surgeons, they show you every time. Custom Tree Surgeons has built an all-pro team. Every tree service professional has years of experience, continually trained and certified. They know what, when, and how to handle any job. It gets done efficiently and quickly by a team of experts. So for tree trimming, removal, stump grinding, and emergency services, forget any name other than Custom Tree Surgeons. There is no job they can't do better. Go to website CustomTreeSurgeons.com. That's CustomTreeSurgeons.com, and let them show you how the job is supposed to get done.
The average cost associated with childhood cancer is a startling $833,000. This is Tom Coughlin, and September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Help the J Fund raise awareness to help our neighbors and community members tackling this devastating disease. Visit tcjfund.org/September for more information.
I'm with Greg Mackey from Cycles of Jacksonville, and even though you're the place to go for fun, you're also a place to go for generators. People need generators.
And the Honda lineup is amazing. They make the super quiet model, inverter technology, the electricity's super clean. You can have conversations with them. You can back up your whole house with a Honda generator. So we have them in stock, and we're ready to ride.
So you have generators big enough that could run everything in the house?
Absolutely.
Check it out, Cycles of Jacksonville on Atlantic near Regency for generators.
What's that sound? That's the sound of Downy Unstoppable scent beads going into your washing machine and giving your clothes freshness that lasts all day long. There it is again. It's like music to your ears, or more like music to your nose. That freshness is irresistible. Let's get a Downy Unstoppables bottle shake. And now a sniff solo. Nice. With Downy Unstoppables, you just toss, wash, wow, for all-day freshness.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update, brought to you by USA Part. Last night in high school football, Decoy Creek picked up another win over Bartram Trail, winning 46-26. Games that have been rescheduled due to Hurricane Helene include Baldwin at Bulls and Bishop Kenny at Parker. Both games will be played Monday at 6. You can hear both games live on 1010 AM and 92.5 FM. Tickets go on sale tomorrow at noon for one of the marquee matchups of opening night of the 2024-25 college basketball season, when Florida takes on South Florida here in Jacksonville November 4th. The matchup will be the 25th all-time meeting between the two schools, with Florida holding a 19-5 advantage in the series. Gators are set to have 3 of their starters return from last season, including second-team all-conference star Walter Clayton Jr. Tip-off 7 o'clock November 4th. You can purchase tickets via Ticketmaster.com. It's 85 degrees at 1 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Light up your lunch with Helmets and Heels.
Presented by First Coast Lighting and Fans.
On 1010XL.
Mio, Brian Taylor Dahl, or Jay Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks with you. Got to see this guy in the spring. He came for a free concert downtown Jacksonville, Rodney Atkins. He was fantastic. Love that concert series. Love the spring in general. It's the fall that things tend to fall apart around here. All right, so I do want to react to the Marcus Freeman comment that Cole Thompson just made. He said, not Lane Kiffin, because Lane will be in the playoff, or the season won't go according to plan, and so Florida won't want Lane if Ole Miss struggles. I disagree with, by the way, the part about the college football playoff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I think Ole Miss could make the college football playoff. I don't think that's a reason that Florida wouldn't take Lane as the next coach.
No. Florida will want Lane. Is Lane going to be willing to up and leave a team in the playoff?
Yeah. Right.
That's the argument.
He won't leave the team in the playoff, but I still think if Florida really wants Lane, and if Lane wants to come to Florida, they will figure things out, even if that means next season won't be as good because he's missed the recruiting window and the transfer portal window. Right now, Florida's looking at potentially a 2-win season this year. If they win 4 or 5 games next year, that's fine.
Right. And also, obviously, the notion is, and I want to hit on that before we get to Marcus Freeman, because that's obviously the headliner coming out of that conversation. Our thanks again to Mr. Cole Thompson for joining us. Covers the Texans as well as SEC Unfiltered, one of the hosts there. So the Lane thing is something that obviously everyone's talking about Lane, but that point about the playoff, I've spoken to enough people now in Gainesville that, number one, I'm very glad that our conversations here have followed the same line of thinking of what people down there are thinking, which is you could not fire Billy Napier 3 games in, as we are now seeing at UNLV, because players will then just say, okay, I'm forfeiting this year, I'm preserving my eligibility, and then what happens, heaven forbid, the doomsday scenario hits and you have no players. So that's number one. Number two, now it becomes this question of the reason you would have fired Billy Napier week 3, week 4 is because you know you're going to part ways anyways. What must be done eventually should be done immediately. And you want to be the first in line for the coaching carousel. And you want to start vetting candidates and you want to get ahead of it. And while I respect that, now with a 12-team playoff, not only could you see coaches who are in the playoff, and will they really want to leave that team that plays in the same conference for another team in that conference? Sorry, Mike Norvell. Memphis to Florida State, coaching in the Cotton Bowl, a little different. And then also, you will have more teams that are in competition for one of those 12 spots late into the year in November. So even if Florida and Lane Kiffin's representation was to come to some sort of deal in mid-November, and the plan is, well, he's going to go to Florida anyways. Number one, the optics of that are absolutely awful. Not that Lane Kiffin cares about optics, although, I mean, his social media may beg to differ. And secondly, again, he may at that point, they may not even be officially into the playoff. He may say, I'm so focused on winning here right now that I can't. I don't have time to be interviewing at Florida or even having my agents worry about that, especially because let's say they are in prime position for the number 1 overall seed.
Yeah.
There could be an even bigger job. Sorry, Florida. An even bigger job out there for all we know.
Are you saying they'd wait until January to have these conversations?
Publicly, people would not know that they're having the conversations until after the season ends for Ole Miss. But privately, there can certainly be conversations that can be had between, if Scott Strickland's still the athletic director, that and Lane's agent. And then nothing gets actually publicly discussed until after the play.
Real quick, the other point I wanted to make too, and I actually was speaking with some people here about it as I returned from my trip to Ithaca last week, because I spoke with Ithaca's head coach Mike Torper about this. So obviously that's Division III, a little bit different. However, I think it bears the same sentiment. Ithaca took 3 months to hire its next head coach, even though as the former defense coordinator, he was the front runner. Everyone kind of knew he had the job in the bag. They took 3 months, and during that time was the entire signing period. And so their roster right now reads as follows: 5 fifth-year seniors because of the COVID year, 12 seniors, 12 juniors, 40 sophomores. That is a byproduct of essentially saying we are punting on an entire recruiting class and just not going to recruit. Now, that doesn't happen in Division I, comparatively to Division III, certainly. But what would you do if you say, well, you know, we're going to, like, Lane's going to be the coach, but we're not saying it publicly because he's coaching in the playoff.
Yeah. He also has important things he has to plan for this weekend.
So he doesn't have a staff because you haven't announced him as the head coach, and those people haven't formally been hired, and so it's not even like they can be recruiting in December while he is coaching Ole Miss. And so in turn, you are punting on an entire class. And now to the point of some people here at 1010XL, when I mentioned this to them, well, Lane's the king of the transfer portal, so it doesn't matter anyways because he'll just, you know, get a bunch of kids in the spring. No, the portal opens at the end of November. I'm not just talking about the signing period for high school seniors. I'm talking about the signing period for portal players as well that you would be punting on.
Other schools, though, have gotten high-profile coaches, even if it's assistants. Look at Georgia. Georgia was able to get Kirby Smart, who was the defensive coordinator for Alabama. Alabama has been in the national championship game lots of years under Nick Saban. So, yes, they had to wait until Alabama's season finished, but they still were able to be successful. They weren't
That was
as
also
successful
when
as they
the national signing day was still mattered. There was no early signing period circa 2016 when Kirby Smart, or 2015 when Kirby Smart took that job.
That's changed, and the 12-team playoff changes it too.
It's a little bit longer, but at the end of the day, and I'm not saying Florida's going to get Lane Kiffin. Right now, Florida has Billy Napier, and they're hoping that they beat UCF in a week and then somehow miraculously beat Tennessee, because that's what always seems to happen, even though Tennessee has a way better roster than Florida. But what I'm saying is you don't sacrifice the long-term goal for the short-term thing. And if you think Lane Kiffin is the answer, then you make the hire whenever it's appropriate to make the hire. And you know that long-term, and again, my feelings on Lane is he probably wouldn't be here that long because an NFL job would come calling, and that's his track record as he hops from job to job. But let's say he promised you he's going to be the coach the next 20 years. One season of not great football, but to get potentially a national championship or at least get in the college football playoff, which right now, as of this writing, Ole Miss is projected to do that. So you wouldn't sacrifice years and years of winning just because one season you're not going to have the recruits.
Well, and that's what she's saying is Florida would. Like, that's not that she's saying Lane. On Lane's side, would Lane do that? Would Lane go and make this agreement with someone when he's focusing on a college football, trying to get in or win a national championship? Would that even be in his mind during that time?
But also, this guy does do that.
And then by this time, you miss all of this recruiting, all of the beginning of the portal. And then in January, you have these conversations. And maybe you go deep into the playoffs and you bail on a team that you just made it into the deep in the playoffs. That's why it's more on Lane's side than it is. Of course, Florida would. Of course.
Well,
right.
Lane's. I
But
mean,
no,
look,
Florida would have hired him in
can't-
March if they had to wait that long.
Lane has the leverage. That's the reality. And the funniest outcome that obviously I am rooting for, sorry, Florida fans, is that you bank on, well, we're just going to get Lane and then get left at the altar. Because that is also very much a possibility right now. That you say, it's fine once Lane's done. Like, we're already, in the words of the UNLV coach, we've had or the UNLV quarterback, we've had great conversations and we're going to get something in writing. And then meanwhile, Brian Kelly bounces somewhere else. And then, I don't know, Jamie Chadwell takes the UCLA job. I don't know. And then you're left with what? Who are you going to take when Lane says, actually, just kidding, I'm going to stay here?
Well,
Mike Gundy.
You're not doing a
Right,
good job.
Mike Gundy. Well said, Taylor.
You're not doing a good job if you, as an AD, have your sights set on only one person, which is exactly what happened when he hired Billy Napier.
That's what I was about to say.
And that's why a lot of people want
I made
him
cheer
fired.
for Florida if they have the mullet man.
The Mike Gundy. At the end of the day, I'm reacting to people saying, well, Florida can't get Lane because of the timing of it. Like, if Lane wants to jump ship, which he has multiple times in his career, so what's the evidence right now that we have is that he would leave and go somewhere else for more money. But if that timing is what's preventing it, that's where I disagree. Does Lane want to leave something that he's built and he's able to get really good players like Princely, Uman-Mielen from Florida to go to Ole Miss? Like, I don't know if that's what he wants. He certainly has ties to the state of Florida, though, so that's why people are connecting the dots there. All right, we got to continue the conversation also. We didn't get to Marcus Freeman, and we have to make our picks, and Taylor has a tangent. We have a lot to do on this Thursday. You're listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010X on 92.5 FM.
This hour of Helmets and Heels is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers.
Does anybody know how to get where we're going?
You know Dan Hicken.
Thank you. You're marvelous.
And you know Jeff Prosser.
People seem to like me because I am polite and I'm rarely late.
Mornings on the Drill.
You're a nicer person than I am.
On 1010XL.
Do the Garber Wiggle, Garber Wiggle, 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 Garber Wiggle.
At Garber Auto Mall, we can wiggle it. Best price, we can wiggle it. Best trade value, we can wiggle it. Best payment, we can wiggle it. Ford, Chevy, Buick, GMC, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. With 8 American brands, we can wiggle it. Visit us in Green Cove Springs or online at GarberAutomall.com. And remember, at Garber Auto Mall, there's always a little room for wiggle.
Do the Garber Wiggle, Garber Wiggle, 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 Garber Wiggle.
Are you 18 years or older, just got married, just got divorced, or have children? Listen up. Have you done your last will and estate planning? If you have questions, call Matt Hinson with the Hinson Law Firm. Reach him at 527-1700. Office is Jacksonville, Florida. And don't let the state decide your fate.
AC replacement? If your AC unit is ready to go kaput, then it's time to call Florida Home AC. With over $3,000 in tax credits waiting for you on select systems, take advantage of it. Call 777-4300. Get Florida Home AC to cool you off.
It's soccer around the world, and here at home on the Sporting Jack Soccer Hour on 1010XL. Join Cole Pepper, Mauricio Ruiz, and Becky Burley for Soccer Talk.
Tuesday nights at 6
on 1010 AM.
Good people drink good beer, and great people drink Mocama, a refined craft brewery out of Fernandina Beach, Florida. Mocama Beer Company brings sophisticated flagship beers, including Cosmico IPA and Dune Garden Lager, to the greater Jacksonville area. Whether you're hitting the water with friends or enjoying a backyard barbecue, Mocama has the perfect fare for your summer activities. Look for us wherever great beers are sold and find your Mocama.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation, light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to CarlsonDentalGroup.com. That's CarlsonDentalGroup.com for all of your dental needs.
What word is misspelled on the Liberty Bell? The answer next.
Does your homeowner's insurance company contact you before, during, or after a big storm? If not, then it's time for you to contact Southern Oak Insurance. Find us online at southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
The word Pennsylvania is misspelled on the Liberty Bell, which is unfortunate as this monument is featured in the Liberty Bell Center in Philadelphia.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about putting your worries in the right bucket. So often we put our worries in our own bucket. but many times they need to be in God's bucket. The Bible says, present your problems always to God. In other words, leave them in God's bucket. Understand that no matter what is out of your control, it's never out of the control of Almighty God.
To hear more inspirational messages by Reverend Dr. Nicholas Lowe, please visit our website at stjohnthedivine.com.
In its final year, we encourage you to help create great futures for young people when you run or walk at Mackenzie's Run, Saturday, November 23rd. Join Boys and Girls Club of Northeast Florida for a 5K and 1 mile fun run through the beautiful stadium course at TPC Sawgrass. Enjoy food, live music, face painting, family fun, and more at our Runners Village. Register at mackenziesrun.org. Mackenzie's 5K and Fun Run, November 23rd. mackenziesrun.org.
Hey folks, this is Dave Benyon with my son Ammon here from Zero Res. Ammon, you've been cleaning air ducts for a while now. What are some of the reasons customers might consider getting their air ducts cleaned?
There are many reasons. Many times, people suffer needlessly from poor indoor air quality produced by the conditions in their air system. Construction dust, the presence of bacterial growth, and years' worth of buildup all come together to make your air ducts a pretty gross place. If you suffer from allergies, have recently moved, recently remodeled, or have never had your air ducts cleaned, then now is the best time to call. By calling Zero Res, you'll have the peace of mind of knowing that you called the best of the best. Our state-of-the-art truck mount system and top-of-the-line service representatives simply can't be found anywhere else. Google Zero Res and read thousands of 5-star reviews.
So what kind of deals can I expect?
Just mention that you heard us on the radio, and we'll give you $100 off your air duct cleaning.
Wow, that sounds like a pretty great deal. Remember, folks, Zero Res,
spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
CEROREZ, Zero Res.
It's time to take it back to the 90s, Jags fans. Be at the bank Sunday, October 6th as we debut our Prowler throwback jerseys against the Colts and induct legendary head coach Tom Coughlin into the pride of the Jaguars at halftime. Kick off the set for 1 p.m. You're not going to want to miss this matchup. Lock in your seats now by going to jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000.
Have you tried golfing at the improved Cimarron Golf Club? If you haven't, tell you what, you're missing out on the best deal in Jacksonville. Now, many of you have received a postcard in the mail, and of course, if you bring that with you, $45 plus tax to play. That includes a cart, lunch, and a beer at the brand new Stone Barrel Tap House. Now, go to the website, that is CimarronGolfClub.com, and sign up for the Wild One Loyalty Program. That's the Wild One Loyalty Program, and get all of these specials emailed to you from Cimarron.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
Okay, wanted to make sure we don't leave you all hanging out there in Hooligan Nation. We have the answer. Cole Thompson, who coined the phrase Graham Mertz is mashed potatoes, says DJ Lagway is indeed a medium-cooked T-bone steak, as Taylor Dahl predicted.
Oh, I think it was Lauren.
Or Lauren. Lots to love, but the medium, the turnovers, might make people a bit weary.
Because you want your steak cooked medium rare.
Correct. And so the fact that you're still not in that rare territory, that those turnovers, not quite to the rare, that's what has people a little weary.
There you go. Quickly, as far as Marcus Freeman, Cole said if Marcus Freeman struggles, then he could be an option for Florida. I don't think any coach with a struggling season where Florida is right now is going to be as attractive.
Hey, Florida.
Correct. Now, I think Taylor, obviously you can speak to it more. I think he's a good coach. But he certainly has lost to teams that he shouldn't lose to, or Notre Dame shouldn't lose to. And so I do think, and again, Florida doesn't necessarily get to pick whoever they want. Yeah. But I don't think that he'd be the option that people would want.
My as a coach, as the leader and getting your team to be, all on the same page and the camaraderie and all of that, he's really good at that stuff. The rest has been a little bit of a roller coaster, to be honest.
That sounds familiar.
Last year there was some very questionable moments when it comes to, we talk about the Florida special teams. Notre Dame got caught a couple times with not enough guys on the field. At least throw extra out there so you can try and stop somebody, but you have not enough guys on the field on the goal line. Stuff like that happened a couple times last year. This year, it's just I don't know. Like, I don't know if Riley Leonard just has regressed massively, or maybe he's shell-shocked from his injury last year and just isn't quite to where he was, but he does not look anywhere close to what he was last season. Defensively, things have been really good. Marcus Freeman has made this defense, even after losing pieces after piece, has been able to keep this defense consistent, and the run game. Those are the two things that I think in that realm, but it has been a roller coaster, so I don't know if that would be where Florida would want to go, because do you want another roller coaster of you win games you shouldn't and lose games you shouldn't? Like, you don't want to be in that realm. And you're still waiting. I'm not one of those people that have given up, but there are people that are kind of already hopping off the Marcus Freeman train. So it'll see, but it would be interesting if he has a bad season at Notre Dame after spending all this money for Riley Leonard and having guys like Xavier Watts and on the running back Love on your team and all of these pieces that you should be winning more games and you're losing to NIU. I don't know if Florida would be like, come to us. Like, that'd be a little strange, but
I mean, it's been referenced on the Frangie show, so I don't feel out of turn saying it. The other name is another former Notre Dame coach, and Brian Kelly. And logic would suggest if things go awry for LSU, why would Florida want him? And I think it would be for the same reasons that you described with Marcus Freeman, but then added in the fact that he has been to a national title game. He has made the college football playoff. The Florida Gators have not made the college football playoff in its, 10-year, 11-year existence? And so that's where I think BK may be the more likely if things go awry in the current landing spot, especially because, and goodness, I reported this in the moment when I was still at First Coast News. Brian Kelly's people called around. Like, they wanted to know what the deal was with the Florida job before Billy Napier was hired. So I don't think that one's out of the realm of possibility. Marcus Freeman's definitely a wild card. Yeah. But I do agree with Cole wholeheartedly. Cole Thompson of SEC Unfiltered joined us in case you missed it, and that's why we're reacting to this statement. I do agree with him wholeheartedly that if you're Florida, despite the fact that the odds makers at MyBookie and so many other sports books have Jamie Chadwell with the best odds behind or ahead of only Lane Kiffin, I agree with this idea of you have to go out and get an established Power 5 head coach. You have to do what USC did with Lincoln Riley and what LSU did with Brian Kelly.
If Florida wants Lane Kiffin, I think Florida gets Lane Kiffin. That's the bottom line. If Florida fires Billy Napier, because again, that hasn't happened yet. But certainly we shall see. All right, right now, Taylor Dahl has a tangent. Take it away.
Now, Taylor's Tangent, served up by Chick-fil-A on 1010XL.
So this is kind of going back to a little bit of the conversation we had at the top of the show. I want to play a little clip from yesterday from Doug's presser, and that bothered me. This one little piece that bothered me, and I'm going to explain why it bothered me. So RJ, take it away.
You know, head coach, quarterback are going to get all the criticism, and we have to work through that together.
Head coach and quarterback get all the criticism, and I think that 99% of the time that's right. 99% of the franchises in the NFL, that is what ends up happening, and those are the first two people that most fans and media will turn on. I do not think that has been the case here. I think that Trevor and Doug have gotten all of the reasons, excuses, whichever way you want to go with that, of why things haven't worked. And this is from the beginning of, okay, it was an absolute disaster for Urban Meyer, so it's going to take a while for things to turn around. And since then, it's been like, okay, well, it's Press Taylor. Okay, it's the offensive line. Okay, it's that Balky can't draft. Okay, it's because, the one ball bopped off someone's head and it didn't catch, and if that would have changed everything, then everything would have been better. I don't think until now people have truly been pointing fingers at Doug or Trevor, and now it got to the point where they're tired of pointing to everybody else because it's been like, we've made this long list of reasons of why you guys are okay. Honestly, I feel like they've admired these two guys since Trevor's been here in general, but once the Doug and Trevor connection happened and Doug came here, it's been, these are our guys. This is our future. This is everything that we've needed, and everything else was the problem. But now you're running out of these, and I'm saying excuses, but some of them are reasons, but you're running out of these things at the end of the day because they are your leaders. These are the two guys on your team. Trevor should be leading your football team, and Doug should be leading the team as a whole, and you just haven't seen that out of anybody. And honestly, this last 8 games have been unacceptable, but the last 3 games have been massively unacceptable for what the product that is being put on the field. And I think that does fall to those two guys. And it's not everything, and I get that. But to say that I just feel like a lot of blame has been put on a lot of other things. And for once, fans are kind of like, okay, we've got to figure this out. And Doug, maybe if it is all of these other issues, why are we not addressing these other issues? Why is Press still here? Why is Balky still here? Why are all of these other things still happening if those are all of the problems? But it just bothered me when I heard that, because I was like, okay, I feel like we've been very nice to these two men until these last 3 games, and honestly, until after Buffalo.
I do think the one thing, Doug has no control over whether Trent is still here.
Yeah, and that was just saying in general all of the message. He doesn't.
Certainly, the GM for quite some time has been under fans' scrutiny, heavy scrutiny, and that led to the clown movement and things like that. But yeah, I agree with you, Taylor, that we've shifted blame certainly to other areas. Press Taylor has been under fire certainly more than Doug until as of late, and the offensive line and Calvin Ridley and all the things last year, all the injuries. Yep. And now it's like, okay, yes, there are a couple injuries, but nothing that should have changed the team this drastically to this point. The quarterback is certainly healthy from what we know and can tell. And so now, now your feet are getting held to the fire. How do you respond?
I'm just glad we didn't start bringing up that Reddit post that I alluded to earlier, because I listened.
There's a lot of connections.
I thought that was when you played that clip, I was like, oh no, Taylor's Tangent today, brought to you by Chick-fil-A, is going to be about, he's suddenly referring to him and the quarterback. And if you read between the messaging of his pressers, he's really taking shots at the quarterback. And that dates back to early December when the quarterback was hurt. And I know Nate Tice went on Yahoo yesterday or the day before on Yahoo Sports on Football 301, and he was like, if you watch a Doug Pederson presser, you can tell he's mad at Trevor. I don't get that vibe. I know Philly fans felt that way with Carson. I think that Doug's relationship with Carson is different than Doug's relationship with Trevor, I would like to think. I could be totally off base. I also, knowing where Carson Wentz has been since then, and obviously the significant knee injury that he suffered during their Super Bowl year, I would like to think that that's the story of someone who unfortunately suffered a devastating injury, a couple injuries, as a matter of fact, over a 3-year span that ultimately derailed his career and mentally not exactly strong enough to weather the storm, so to speak, and to weather the criticism. And I would like to think that Trevor Lawrence, his psyche is stronger, since that was the last question of Doug Pederson in yesterday's availability. So I will go back to that. Is the psyche of this team fragile? I'd like to think the psyche of the quarterback is not fragile. I don't know what history will show us, but what I do know is that history so far has shown us another quarterback who is regarded as fragile, self-admitted, and physically. I'm not talking about physically, because unfortunately, physically, yes, that has proven true. But I mean mentally, was Tua Tagovailoa and his relationship with Brian Flores. Austin Jackson, his tackles relationship with Brian Flores. And that they needed someone like Mike McDaniels, a more young, cerebral coach that would
be able to relate to him.
Correct. Yeah. And I'm not going to make that comparison and say, like, well, that's what you need for Trevor. But it could be, because a lot of people were writing Tua off when Brian Flores was let go by Miami.
Well, not everyone has read the Reddit, so I'll just give you the 5 reasons that this person posted why firing Doug Pederson was the right move, according to a Philly fan. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's long. A lot. Just the number 1, refusal to change. Number 2, injuries. Number 3, the regression of Carson Wentz. Number 4, randomized play calling. And number 5, he didn't want to be here. That last one is certainly one
which
that
people are now looking at these pressers. Which, and that's what, there was 2 other things that kind of came out of Doug's comments, that when we're talking about the relationship between him and Trevor, and sometimes you read too much into things, and I think because everything's like so chaotic right now, every little word is going to be analyzed. But there were a couple things. So the one, he said, if you want to be an elite football team, it's led from within. It's led by the players. To me, that is almost shifting blame off of them, off of the coaching, and saying, like, the players have to do it. Like, coaches coach and players play. And to me, the players aren't playing is what it seems like he's saying to me.
Yeah, he's not off base, by the way.
Yeah, they're not executing either. But also, let's talk about the scheme that we just spent the whole first 10 minutes. But then he also said no issues from play caller to quarterback. The mistake sometimes people misinterpret when it comes to communication, it's play to play. It's on the football field. So again, to me, that's like, we're not miscommunicating with them. We are doing what we're wanting to do, and they just can't execute it properly. That's putting everything to me on Trevor in those moments.
I thought the same thing of the second comment for sure. All right, we've got lunch to give away today.
We do. Lunch on the Ladies Lunch for 2 to Chick-fil-A. Give us a call at 641-1010. Let's say caller number 4.
To explain, but play-by-play just sounds better on the radio.
What a turn of events!
1010XL, Jacksonville's home for play-by-play.
Are you embarrassed by your ugly, cracked concrete driveway? Need to enhance your home's curb appeal? Stonecore on Phillips Highway is your one-stop shop for all your outdoor needs. Replacing with new stone pavers will transform your driveway into a stunning work of art. Say goodbye to unsightly concrete and hello to beautiful, durable pavers that last for years. Visit Stonecore today and let's beautify your home together. Stonecore.co. We do outdoors better.
Mia here, and we are getting so much love from our Heeligans on the text line because so many of you are cashing in with MyBookie. I've been betting too, and it makes the games oh so fun. This weekend, the Vikings visit the Packers in a divisional game, a revenge game for Mr. Aaron Jones. Both the defenses have been very, very good. Give me the under 45.5 at MyBookie, although I do expect a Jones anytime score as well. Your home team is an underdog as they head to H-Town. If you're into winning money, take the bet. Texans -6. Yes, the line has shifted a full point since yesterday. And in Sunday Night Football, Bills, Ravens, an absolute laser show. Give me the over of 46.5. For a limited time, you can join on MyBookie and use the promo code 1010XL to cash in on the double deposit bonus. Use promo code 1010XL to claim a bonus that doubles your money on that very first deposit. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.
Time now for a medical recap. A health and wellness tip from Jaguars head team physician Dr. Kevin Kaplan.
Your musculoskeletal system carries the body, meaning that it maintains the structure against gravity. If you want your joints to stay healthy and seek the simplest solution, the best answer is to lose weight. Don't forget, the more weight you put onto your joints, the more pressure and stress there is on your hips and knees. This translates to more pain if you're already having issues. Losing weight is the quickest way to alleviate joint pain and boost your joint health. Go Jags.
Did you know you can charge the all-new Honda Electric Prologue in the same receptacle as your phone? You don't need these special charging stations at your home. Simply plug in your Honda or your phone. See your local Honda dealer now. We're electrified.
Catching fish and fish stories.
What's going on here? Get him in the boat. Get him in the boat.
On the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show with Captain Kevin Faber. Brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss and Veterans Wholesale Cabinets.
Thursday nights at 6
on 1010XL AM.
If you suffer from constant burning, tingling, or numbness in your hands or feet, it could be a serious condition called neuropathy. I'm Dr. Nathan Riddle, DC with Riddle Wellness in Ponte Vedra. Neuropathy is treatable, and we have seen great results by using state-of-the-art, non-invasive therapies to target damaged nerves, reduce symptoms, and improve nerve function. Call 904-395-5598 to schedule your free consultation today and learn how you can live pain-free. Call 904-395-5598.
Thermal Engineers is hiring. Thermal Engineers is a commercial HVAC contractor serving North Florida for over 20 years. Qualified technicians and installers. How does top pay, 401k, and full benefits sound, and a signing bonus? Is it time for a positive change in your career? Join the family-oriented commercial HVAC contractor at Thermal Engineers. Call 230-1172 or go to Thermal Engineers, Inc., an equal opportunity employer.
When you step into a courtroom, you're stepping into a fight. Someone wins, someone loses. I'm attorney Brett Hastings, and at Hastings Injury Law, we've got the experience you want in your corner if you or a loved one suffer a personal injury or a wrongful death. We're here to fight for you. So if you get hit, hit back with Hastings Injury Law, offices Jacksonville. Find us on the web at 904hitback.com or call our 24-hour helpline, 904-HITBACK.
I'm Taylor Rose with our Remedy Staffing Westside office off of Normandy Boulevard. We are helping great people find great jobs. Remedy has helped some of the best employers in Jacksonville find talented job seekers like you for over 25 years. Our current job openings range from entry-level distribution center pickers to equipment operators. Apply today at remedygoodjobs.com. Don't wait. Apply at remedygoodjobs.com now.
Hey, I'm Tony from Tony D's Pizza. People ask me all day long, is it the water that makes the difference? Well, yes and no. Even water can't make a good pizza. It's the ingredients, too. The best tomatoes, the best flour, and the best cheese. Oh, and a lot of love. Tony D's New York Pizza, Bay Meadows and 295.
The Golf Club of Southampton has plenty going on, from a great round to a round with your buds, soaking up some football and great grub. Every Saturday and Sunday at Southampton, enjoy their game day special. Wings tossed in your favorite sauce and a cold pitcher of beer. Membership opportunities to take advantage of, too. Join Southampton with a paid initiation, and you'll get a $500 gift card. Perfect for golf, pro shop purchases, or the clubhouse. Check it out. It's all happening at the Golf Club of Southampton.
Check it out, the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence and camera control for easy access. At Verizon, you can get it when you trade in any phone from one of their top brands.
Any?
Any.
Even if it's 4 years old?
Yeah.
Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk? Yep. Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk, then a scooter runs it over, so now it's not just old and cracked, but shattered?
With Verizon, the answer is always yes. New and existing customers can trade in any phone from one of our top brands in any condition for the new iPhone 16 Pro with Unlimited Ultimate. Trade-in terms apply. See.
This is Dr. Kevin Kaplan, head team physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jags, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
ESPN's Mike DiRocco on what he would do to fix the Jaguars' offense.
We're going to take the ball. If we win the toss, we're going to take the ball. That's one thing I would change if I were Doug. We're going to take the ball, okay? You're going to get up there, and you're going to go tempo, and you're going to run that offense the way you want to run it all down the field. And I know people go, well, what if they go 3 and out? Well, they go 3 and out anyway, right. So what the hell does it matter?
You know what I mean?
You, it doesn't matter. I would say, Trevor, let's get you feeling good. You pick 10 plays you love the most. We'll run those, and let's get some momentum. That's what I would do.
ESPN's Mike DiRocco this morning on Jaguars Today. I'm Andrew Gibson with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars Update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air, Electric and Plumbing. Keeping Jack's cool since '87.
What a spirited show today was. Maybe we need to have programming on a Thursday a little bit more often. It gets the juices pumping on Helmets and Heels. Building off of our friend Cole Thompson's conversation with us regarding the Florida coaching position. It's not that I don't think Lane's a possibility, folks. I just think that there are more roadblocks than a lot of people realize. Do I think it's a possibility? I absolutely think so. I also think there's a chance Ole Miss gets knocked off by LSU, Kentucky, or South Carolina at some point in the next few weeks, solely because they've yet to play anyone, and that could affect their playoff chances too. And so, therefore, I say you can continue dreaming about Lane, but just recognize you got to keep your eyes open. What did Florida in, as it now appears 3 years later? The fact that they zeroed in on Billy Napier and they didn't stray from the path.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about it again because I feel like every week, so 4 weeks straight of me talking about you're playing a team that is potentially missing some very important pieces to their roster because of injury. And with the news of Tank Dell, you heard Cole Thompson talking about how important Tank Dell is to that offense and what Tank Dell did to the Jags. It was his coming out party last year against the Jags, by the way. And you don't want to let that happen. But that's how big of a piece he is, not only against the Jaguars, but in general, their offense. And maybe if he's not the one getting the 120, 130 yards, he's taking those eyes, those double teams away from somebody like Nico Collins. And so if you are without Tank Dell, I think that the Jags need to massively take advantage of the fact that they're missing one of their bigger offensive weapons and one that has absolutely crushed you. And I think that at some point, if you want to show us you're a team that can be competitive and isn't an absolute hot mess disaster, then teams, when you're playing situations like this, who are not playing their best football right now, are going to be down one of their best players and also have some other weaknesses that you can take advantage of. This is the perfect time to kind of start at least beginning to flip the script of what the season started as.
Whatever you did to prepare for Monday night, Jaguars, do the opposite when it comes to this Sunday. Yeah, don't repeat that. To go back to the college football conversation and the next head coach at Florida, if Florida fires Billy Napier, I think some people are looking through this in the prism of what Florida's been the last few years. And instead of, yes, Ole Miss is a better football team and a better program right now. But if you look big picture, which school has more resources total? That would be Florida. Which school is in a better recruiting area? That would be Florida. So it's not just can Florida pay potentially Lane Kiffin more than Ole Miss? I mean, if Florida wants him, like I said, I think Florida could be able to acquire him and pay him what he needs to make, which would be, goodness gracious, I would guess over $12 million a year, which is...
Because I think he's making $9 million at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
He's making more than Billy.
Yes, he does make more than Billy, which right now he's earning more than Billy, that's for sure. All right, are y'all ready to make some picks? Because, Mia, you'll be off tomorrow?
Yes, on assignment, not off, on assignment tomorrow. We have, which, we're excited for. We've got some special guests down at Everbank Stadium and going to be excited to bring you guys that content on the 1010XL social channels.
All right, let's get it to college football as Louisville travels to Notre Dame. Notre Dame is a 6.5-point favorite. Taylor, since this is your college football team, I will start with you.
Yeah, I honestly hate this game. I just,
Welcome to my life.
I have no confidence in Notre Dame's offense right now outside of their run game. And I just feel like when you look at the numbers, all of the strengths that Louisville has matches up perfectly with Notre Dame's weaknesses, which is not a good thing in my opinion. Notre Dame's turned the ball over 4 times. Louisville hasn't turned the ball over at all. Riley Leonard literally hasn't even surpassed 600 yards yet, and their quarterback, what's his name? Tyler, however you say it, Show. He has over 800 yards. Like, it's almost everything that, yes, the Notre Dame defense is the best they've faced so far this season, but I just do not have the confidence in Notre Dame's offense to be able to do anything massive. I could see them pulling out a win, but I think it would be more of like a miracle field goal at the end sort of thing, so I'm going to say Louisville.
You're going with Louisville.
Louisville. What you got, Mia?
Louisville really hasn't played anyone. Although Florida State fans don't
We
want to
barely
hear
played
me.
anybody.
I know. Louisville doesn't want to hear me say that.
2 max goals we almost lost.
Considering they did blast Georgia Tech, and if you ask Florida State fans, Georgia Tech is one of the better teams in the ACC. Our friend Myles Garrett in Atlanta would echo that sentiment, a top 3 team. That was at home, though. This game's in South Bend. I think Louisville...
Which is, we've played better on the road.
Well, I think Louisville's due for a regression to the mean. Notre Dame is due for a bounce back. Give me the Irish.
Yeah, I'm going with Taylor. I think Louisville is a high-powered offense, and it's going to be hard for Notre Dame to keep up scoring-wise. So I'll take Louisville in the 6.5. Let's get it to Dallas as SMU takes on FSU. SMU right now a 6-point favorite. Mia?
So this one is interesting for many reasons. Most notably, Florida State. Who are you? Have you developed a defensive line? Can you stop the run? Because last time out, SMU racked up more than 120 yards on the ground. They don't really throw it through the air, which is interesting because that is where you thought Florida State's defense, the bread and butter, would be. And we obviously saw through the first 3 weeks of the season, the defensive front and the run defense was god-awful. What's that line?
SMU by 6.
Give me the Noles to cover.
All
Can't
right.
believe I'm doing it because I said I wasn't going to pick Florida State, or the Jags, but give me the Noles to cover.
Yeah, I think Notre Dame. I think FSU is a program that has lost its confidence, and even though, yes, they beat Cal, I don't think Cal's a good football team, so I got SMU.
Yeah, I think that even though I do see some progress in the Florida State defensive line, we've seen them play better the last couple weeks. I just think the inconsistencies on the offense, and that I do think that SMU can put it up through the air and run it, which the running game has obviously been the weakness for Florida State too. So I think I'm going to go SMU.
All right, and I'll kick us off in Tuscaloosa. Alabama plays host to Georgia. Georgia on the road is a 2-point favorite.
This is so hard.
You can probably guess where I'm going to go, though, based off of what I've said multiple times this week, and that is how explosive Alabama's offense is. If you don't know who Ryan Williams is, you will know Saturday night. In my prediction, I say Alabama covers the spread and wins the football game.
I am taking the underdog, home dog, Alabama Crimson Tide. This is Jalen Milroe's coming out party. Sorry, Carson Beck. Sorry, Mandarin. Sorry, Georgia. I just can't get away from what Kalen DeBoer has been able to do, not only with Michael Penix, but through 3 games with Jalen Milroe.
Taylor?
Yeah, I'm going Bama too. I just think...
Wow, that surprises me.
Yeah, no, I don't... I talked about it yesterday or the day before when we were a little bit going into this game. I just think that it takes Georgia's offense way too long to get going, and against a team like Alabama, you're not going to be able to wait until the third quarter to score.
Kirby Smart loves this, by the way. All right, let's switch it to the NFL before we say hello to XL Primetime. The Saints travel to the Falcons in Atlanta, 2.5-point favorites. I will say that the Falcons win and cover. Mia?
I really liked what I saw from Kirk Cousins on Sunday Night Football. I know it was against the two-time defending Super Bowl champs, and you can say all you want that the Falcons didn't have a chance, but I really liked the offense we saw from Atlanta in the first half of that game. The Saints, high-powered offense through 2 weeks of the season, no show, or perhaps it's that the Eagles' defense was just really good in Week 3, which means neither of those two things are going to matter on Sunday. I'm still going to take the Falcons.
Taylor?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Falcons also.
Oh, my goodness. I never thought this would happen. I thought I'd be the only one picking against the Saints and Derek Carr.
I want it to be, like I said, to flip the script, but the offense we saw from Atlanta Week 1 is not the offense we've seen the fourth quarter against Philadelphia and on Sunday Night Football. And so that's where I'm like, if that's the offense they're going to be under Kirk Cousins, that offense will get it done, even against a Saints team that obviously has had a resurgence in 2024.
I just think they have a lot more, like, all around. I feel like the Saints is pretty much Alvin Kamara's big game you're relying on, or Chris Olave, and that's what they have. And for the Falcons, to me, there's a lot more people they can go to, so that's why I'm leaning that way.
All right, Taylor, Bills at the Ravens. Ravens are 2.5-point favorites at home.
I'm going Bills. I feel like, and not even just from what happened this weekend, I truly think the Bills are the best team in the NFL right now, and their defense, even beat up, is just beating up on everybody else that they face. I think that when it comes to their offense in general, everybody's clicking, and you're only going to see it click more and more as they get time with Keon Coleman and Khalil Shakir is out there and used even more. Their run game is just really also solid right now, and the way they use James Cook. That was one of the things that I think was an underrated part of that game. The way they used him in the pass game and the run game, it's hard to stop all of that. So, and Josh can run if he needs to, too. So
at the same time, though, the Bills are flying high in each of the past 2 seasons when they've almost been there on the surface of the sun. They've been brought back down to earth, whether it was the Jaguars in London last year when they were fresh off that beatdown of the Miami Dolphins. Yeah. You've seen it throughout the course of Josh Allen's tenure in Buffalo.
And then they fired their offensive coordinator.
I also think if the Ravens had run away with that game against the Cowboys, I would be inclined to pick the Bills. But this screams Ravens by a field goal because they were unhappy with the way their first win of the season ended. So give me Lamar and the Birds.
I think that the Ravens will play zone coverage against Josh Allen, and the Ravens win at home because that's the NFL. And finally, quickly, Jaguars at the Texans. Houston's favored by 6.5. Taylor?
Oh, man. I honestly...
It's actually, the line has shifted to 6, by the way.
6.
Money has come in on the Jags.
Okay. I think the Texans win, but I think it's less than 6.
All right.
Ooh, you got the Jags covering.
Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting. I said I'm not picking the Jags until they win, so I will take the Texans -6.
All right, and I will take the Texans as well. Even
wow.
though I hate it, but it's a fact. All right, let's say hello to Matt Hayes and XL Primetime.
Now, the 2-minute drill, brought to you by Injury Care Centers. Discover BioTarget Regenerative Therapy, a safer drug-free solution for lasting pain relief. Visit GoBioTarget.com.
All right, Matt Hayes is here, so we have to ask you about our conversation regarding if Billy Napier is fired, who's the next Florida coach?
I think it depends on what Florida wants. I don't think it depends on what Lane wants. I think Lane Kiffin absolutely take the job.
Okay.
Does Florida want him? That was the case 3 years ago when they hired Billy Napier. Could have had him then. So that's kind of where you're at.
Are you worried about the roadblocks of if Ole Miss is in the national title game,
No.
if Ole Miss is in the playoff, if
No.
He needs to hire a staff while he's also coaching?
No, not at all. No,
And
because the staff that's there will continue to recruit. They'll continue to get stuff from the portal. They'll do their work because they're getting paid. At the end of the day.
And Billy Napier did hire 150 people.
There are like 42 people, right? So that will also help. But yeah, I'm not. If I'm Scott Strickland, if he is not making the hire, whoever it is making the hire, I'm not worrying about one recruiting class when you can get the potential of 7, 8, 9 years of success down the road. And that's kind of the thing that everybody looks at. If you've got to suck it up and take another bad year, and in this case, Is 6-6 or 7-5 with Lane Kiffin a bad year?
Nope.
It's not a good year, but it's also okay. I can see.
That's where their standards are now. They've
I'm
lowered.
in the chair
the
right
standards,
Their
have,
standards
lowered,
have lowered.
The
massive-
chair
as
is
this
lowering.
chair is lowering.
One thing, Matt, that I do want to ask you, because you obviously know Lane Kiffin and you know his personality, and you've said this on our air and you've said it on USA Today as well. This is a different Lane. So I know Lauren brought up that history and his track record show he's not afraid to jump and leave. As you're leaving us right now. You're headed to the underworld underneath the studio table.
I feel like I'm so short now.
Welcome to my world. But to that idea of he's not afraid to jump around and leave somebody high and dry, you've said that that's not who Lane is.
No, he's changed a lot in the last 3-4 years since he got to Oxford. He likes it there a lot. He likes the people there. He likes his situation. But he's also a realist. There's a ceiling at Oxford. There's a ceiling there, and he's close to it right now. Does that ceiling mean you get to the semifinals of the playoff or even to the finals of the playoff? Maybe. He's got a really good team right now. But I think long-term, what he could do at Florida far outweighs what he could do at Ole Miss.
And Florida fans right now are smiling ear to ear. But the first half has to happen.
if the Florida administration decides they want to hire him, again, he would have gone 3 years ago, but that didn't happen. It was directly at Billy Napier, and that was it.
Yep. All right, what's coming up today?
We're going to talk the Gators, and the Knowles, and the Canes, and the Dogs, and the Tide. We're talking some college football. Like we're enough of being depressed.
Love that. I love that. That was our whole second hour was pretty much all college football.
We're going college football heavy, and we'll talk Jags too, but not.
The Gators and Knowles don't depress you too.
They do, but we can
Can't
also
lose the bye week, Taylor.
We can take the eggs on to Alabama, Georgia, and other things.
I cannot wait for that game Saturday night.
Yeah. It'll be fun. A lot of fun.
We asked Leon real quick, Matt. Just Miami, Virginia Tech, 19.5-point line.
Yeah, I would lay those points.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Miami's going to put a number on it.
You don't worry about this Friday football curse that we've seen where the underdog has.
I think Miami's getting better every week, and I think Cam Warren's getting more comfortable every week. And I think behind them, they're starting to get really comfortable and confident with who they are. So Miami's going to be tough to beat down the road, at least till the playoff.
Thanks, Matt. We'll be listening.
I did really quick want to say I will be hosting a Jaguars watch party on Sunday at Monkey's Uncle at the beach. So come hang out. There's going to be Bud Light specials, other drink specials. We're going to be giving away Jags tickets. We're going to be giving away gift cards to Monkey's Uncle. So come hang out and hopefully have fun.
Game kicks off at 1 o'clock on Sunday. People will have fun at Monkey's regardless.
Yeah, we'll have a good time.
Exactly. All right. For Mia O'Brien, for Taylor Dahl, for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. Don't go anywhere. XL Primetime is next. These heels are made for talking, and we will talk to you.